In addition to cutting the video, you also want to make sure that you watch your audio levels. Now, we were working here in the reception, and you notice your board audio is going to be pretty compressed. Right now it's at like -9, so I would bring that down maybe like 3 decibels. I like to start with levels around -12, because what I'm going to do is once I bring it up and I kind of add some compression onto the 2 bus, that's like the end part of the audio mixing. It's going to be loud. So if I'm at -12, then my finished audio for this might be at like -9. So I've got like 3 decibels to play with. Now if someone was speaking, they could easily hit like -6, and a lot of their volume would be at -18. So this board audio at -12 is going to sound louder than the speaking that peaks at -6. So to do that, we really want to add in compression when we need to. Not only are we actually going to add it at the end, which is here on the master, but we're going to add it as a track. So that's kind of, as you're editing, the first part that you want to think about is editing the track. So one easy way you can do it is set up 2 compressors. I have my first one and I have my second one. My first one is basically to raise the levels. Here you can see I've got it more like a compression setting. The ratio might matter more depending on what you're working with. This is pretty much a good thing here. I'd say I want my release to be pretty high because I'm just trying to make it louder, so as it triggers, it's going to actually be at a point where then I can raise the output gain. Whereas if I left this very low, you're going to start to notice distortion, I think, because it's going to happen so fast that you're going to hear it. And the same thing is that especially for a voice, if it's at a level where it's going to be hit based on the threshold, okay, which the threshold right now is there, I'd say maybe it should actually be a little bit lower, because if the audio needs to be raised, then there's a good chance it's maybe in, like, let's say the -18 range. And then from here I can actually raise my output gain. And then what I do, because now I've got this loud level, now I can actually use another compressor, which is going to be acting as just a limiter. And what that's doing is it's going to limit anything in the threshold of here, which is -12, and the ratio is going to be about 30-1, which is it's basically going to be limiting. And here we have again an attack that's in a release that they're pretty good. They're not like, it's not happening too fast, not happening too slow either. But for this type of thing, for this application, this, in my opinion, slower is going to be better for it, to kind of keep it reasonable. There's not a lot of peaks. If you start to notice there's like applause or there's pops or something like that, or then yes, then you want a faster attack, and your release might not matter. But if it's like a pop and it's gone, then you maybe want a slower release. But that's a very special situation. For the most part, this is the type of thing that you're going to notice a lot. If you have kind of weak audio, but there's not a lot of noise, because you might have to add some noise reduction. If you do, you're going to find a compressor that also helps raise your audio levels, and then followed by like a limiter type compressor. They're basically the same. It's just the matter, it's the way you're using it in the settings that determine if it's more or less doing compression or limiting. But that is kind of the beginning. That's what I would do on the tracks. I'd also start adding EQs just to filter out like low end, that type of thing. But for the most part, that's kind of the beginning. And then then from there you have a good base from which to kind of work on the rest of the tracks.